Alrighty, welcome back, Ludum Dare campers, to the Chupacabra's lair for another episode of Larry Does Ludum, for the 38th installment of the Game Jam, with the game theme of A Small World. And we're back here today to check out another 3 games. There's been a lot of people who have entered their games so far since the last video, and I thank all of you for submitting your games. It's been a little trickier to get the word out this time around because we don't as yet have the fancy sticky post on the site because Mike has been busy. But I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that if you have a sweet game you'd like to submit, you can just message me on either Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, or just use the handy-dandy form listed in the video description below. So for our first video of the trifecta of games that we have to try out here today, we have the point-and-click jam entry called Tomorrow, which is made by Martin Isla and his crew of friends. And this is a story about a young man whose entire year, for the past few years, has been inside of his apartment, and it's all that he ever sees. He's a bit of a shut-in, it would seem. He might work as a freelancer that does, like, web stuff. He might just be a college student that's kind of gotten down on himself. But part of this game is we're just going to experience what it is to be him in his somewhat droll and humdrum life. So we've woken up, and we are in our tidy-whities, and the best way to start the day is probably to put on some pants. I'm a fellow freelancer, so I can certainly attest that a lot of times people are just lucky that I'm wearing pants, although not always, because a webcam only sees you from the shoulders up, so there's not really a lot to worry about. And then just gonna take a nice wee, and then we're gonna go start our day with a nice cup of instant coffee, cause the best part of waking up is Folger's generic version in your cup. So let's see, I'll get a little bit of coffee, and I'll put that in here. Could use some sugar. Alright, I guess I'll try some sugar next time. And now, we just kind of, before we get started, let's go relax and play a little bit of gaming on our PC. And it looks like it's got something like Cinema 4D or Unity on the computer. So maybe this is like the story of a game dev who's like stuck in a rut or something. So let's see what this is like. Press the left mouse button to jump. Sounds simple enough. It's like your baby's first endless runner game where you learn how to... Okay. I see that the only way that you can get to the end is hit a green bar. I guess I won anyway. Well, that's a long, hard day's work making an endless runner. Now I'm gonna go take myself a nice shower with knobs that play shenanigans with me. You see, this is what happens when you let your friend Robbie get into your house and start messing around with the plumbing. You get hot and cold water knobs that play silly buggers with your water. Is this like a thing I can win? Or is this just messing with me? I guess it's just messing with me. I don't have all day. I'll shower tomorrow. I mean, if you're about to go to sleep, couldn't you just try to take, like, a sink bath? Is there, like, a midget hiding in the cupboard? The cupboard bugs me. Come on, Steve, fix it. Fix it with your fancy game dev hands. I know you can. If you can figure out how to program in Unity, you can figure out a screwdriver. I promise you, Steve. Although I do like the idea of having your computer on, like, a cart. That way you could, like, roll it over to the dinner table here to play, or you could bring it into your bedroom when you're feeling like having a lazy day. So what does it say? Sigh, I thought I was making progress. I can't even get things right in my own house. I don't know, Steve, we made a cool endless runner game. I think you're getting too down on yourself, to be honest. So basically this game is just an endless loop of the same gameplay. You wake up, you put your pants on, you take a piss, you play on your computer after you get some coffee, you take a shower, you go to sleep. I've tried to change some things, like I'm in some sort of endless time loop by, like, adding sugar. And then let's see if oh, okay, so I managed to make great coffee this time. But, I mean, no matter what I seem to do, eventually all I do is like, maybe today will be better for the ending of the day. And I guess this is just trying to illustrate that it can kind of be a depressing process to be a game dev sometimes. Or maybe that working from home can be a somewhat isolating experience. I don't know. There's certainly a lot of implied referencings here. Although I still have no idea how are you supposed to be able to do something with the shower? Do I turn the faucet on and like call the Illuminati to clean up the shower? And can I stop there from being leaking water under the toilet? That can't be sanitary, Terry. That's how you get apartment swamp monsters, is by having a leaky toilet. So like I sat here earlier today before recording this and I fiddled with these knobs over and over again for like half an hour in between days, and I could not figure out any combination that mattered to anything. So, I mean, it's cool, but I just wish there was something more to do. And like, it's got good point and click mechanics. Like, I've had no trouble. Oh yeah, I feel less sad somehow. Maybe tomorrow is my day. And that's as far as I've gotten in this particular game, but I feel like this could be like an adventure game where like you monotonously change little things in your daily routine, and like little things get added every time that you manage to make a change, either for the good or for the worse, and then you can eventually like unhook like either a crazy horror mystery, or maybe you go on like a deal to like hack the government and save the world from the evil part of the CIA who's about to try and do like a thing where they steal the world's money. I don't know, but there's lots of options. I mean, a point and click adventure game is always full of a lot of options. You've got a lot of great room for expansion of story, and because the click scheme on this is just point and click, you could very easily change this to being a very compelling mobile game. Uh-oh, I didn't beat the game this time. I mean, it looks like I'm the one that made the game, though, so is that really such a big deal? Someone else will beat your game. The people that develop games are not always the one that are the best at it, although frequently they're pretty darn good. Yeah, I still can't do anything with this water. It's driving me bonkers. Yeah, I can't. There's no other buttons for me to press, so I guess this is just to mess with me. So, I mean, I like it. The art style is somewhat cohesive. Although, I think, like, the background's a higher resolution than my character. I think that's the only thing that bugs me. So, maybe if, like, I'm less pixelated, the background's more pixelated, that might feel a little better. Sound is pretty straightforward and on point for kind of just a fart-around adventure game. So, I don't know. Like, it's a weird game. I like it, but I feel like it doesn't go anywhere. And maybe that's the point, maybe that's the message, but I always feel like an adventure game, like a point-and-click adventure game, could go somewhere. So very nice job, Martin. I just think that the story could go somewhere, something could happen, I could get to know this character more. Like, what led him to be in this apartment? Why isn't he out being a billionaire programmer? Questions like these are things that the player would ask. So it's good to think about, like, is that important, or should I give them other information? Like, maybe the secret of this game is I'm supposed to go onto Amazon, buy some porno and a Batman cape and, like, a belt, and I can autoerotic asphyxiate myself in the closet without anyone of the neighbors noticing. Like, I don't know. It's a big closet. That's probably what this guy does when nobody's looking. But, yeah, I don't know. Something more. That's, I think, what it's missing. So, nice job, and away we go to the next game. Alright, next up we have Mouth Rescue, which is a game that is made by a gent by the name of Petite Poise, or it might be, a lady. And this is a jam entry, and this is all about the fact that there is a small world of microorganisms inside of your mouth, and you have to go through this world of fleshy gum backgrounds and things in order to save other teeth and other little creatures. And then there's a little bit of a story here. The Placme are trying to destroy Boca. You play as K9, the healthy tooth assigned to help rescue those captured by the Placme. rescue the lost teeth before it's too late, which seems pretty simple. We also can destroy ulcers. And that's about it. And let's see here. Let's do first level 1. So there we are. So we gotta fight these little pieces of plaque inside the mouth, while also avoiding little pitfalls like this one here. And somewhere in each of these levels is like a murdery tooth, well, a tooth that's trying not to get murdered, I should say, that we need to rescue by using our toothpaste spitting powers. Pretty straightforward. We can murder a lot of these enemies, but there's not a real reason to, because I can just go up and give this boy the old brushing that he so rightfully deserves. And that's pretty much the game. It's a very simple platformer where you play as a tooth and you murder things. Now, it's pretty basic. I don't have a lot to say other than it could have more stuff in it, some more challenging terrain, and some enemies that do stuff besides just walk back and forth. But my biggest issue with it is just, it's a little on the buggy side. Like, it doesn't run well. It's actually kind of glitchy. It has a frame rate drop now and again. And, like, as I walk back and forth, as you can see, my character is just, like, glitching back and forth in time. It's hard to really figure out where my character is on the terrain when I'm constantly, like, teleporting all over the place when I'm moving. So that makes it kind of tricky. So I feel like maybe Petapoys just ran out of time. So that's my biggest qualm. But aside from that, like, I feel like this game is just missing more stuff. And there's a lot of room in the puzzle platforming, action platforming world to come up with different, like, powers and abilities. Like, for example, I have this ability to, like, brush things, which is hard to activate all the time. And I also have this spit ability, but it would be interesting if I could use my brush powers as almost like a samurai sword. And you could make it so that I can spit a little bit more accurately and a little longer distance, so that maybe I could have more of a fast-paced action platforming experience as opposed to this one. So lots of options there. You've got your pick. Let's just brush you, and then let's try to sneak past this guy, because I don't want to deal with such a spicy customer. There's like 3 teeth that need to be rescued in here. And yeah, the other thing that's bugging me is, like, sometimes I can take 1 point of damage from these critters, and then other times they kill me instantly. So, like, I feel like this could be something interesting. There's a lot of places you could go with a cavity fighting game. It could be very educational. It could be very story-driven, where you have to defeat, like, the Lord Mouth Ulcer that's destroying the tongue from his lair just below... What was that thing called that hangs at the back of your throat? The frog in your throat? There's lots of places you could go with this. Like, you could make it like an enchanted kingdom, like from Mario or something. And then all you'd have to do is clean up the gameplay, and you wouldn't even necessarily need to go crazy with the character and the graphic design. Like, as long as it's kind of cute looking, and if you can kind of figure out what everything is supposed to be, you've got a pretty good basis there. And this kind of reminds me of back when I was a kid. They had that thing that you could get, like, for free at the dentist's office sometimes called Timmy the Tooth. And he'd use his bizarre demonic plaque fighting powers to save the kingdom of Tooth Rule. So you got lots of options. Like, if you really wanted to build upon this game, I would say add a lot more components of, like, the mythical or the sci-fi side of things, and really just go bonkers with, like, a quest to save a princess, or some other thing where you gotta fight, like, evil alien invaders. Like, maybe your friend went to a fair in, like, the UK, and it's gotta fight off weird UK germs from Britain, or from Russia, or from Australia, or, I mean, I can only imagine how bad Australian germs are. And it would give you something to really fill out the game. Otherwise, pretty basic and really doesn't run that well. Like, I've had a lot of problems, and it crashed a few times when I was first running it, but I'm just assuming that most of that is fixed with just a little bit more time to patch things and to improve them, because it's a game jam. I mean, you have very little time to work on stuff, so I fully understand. But the graphics all look cohesive, if a little bit pulsy. And the music is, like, you picked a good track for this, so nice job. Alright, last but certainly not least, we have Bug to the Footstep, which is made by Eddie Nardo. And this is a interesting little puzzle game that I wasn't quite expecting that kind of reminded me of the educational on a disc games that you used to be able to get when you went to like the Natural History Museum and learned about insects for the first time. So what I mean by that is this is a game where you have like this little footprint over here under this side of the screen, and you have to grab these different bugs and then slap them inside of that footprint in order to make them fit. And this is a game whose theme kind of fits the small world because we're talking about insects and their world is very small compared to ours. And I just like the fact that it's a puzzle game that doesn't really require a lot of action-packed gameplay. It's really not something that you see a lot of in a Ludum Dare game jam. I see it occasionally. And I always find it nice when somebody takes the more relaxed approach to game design, because while Larry does play a load of games, I'm not always the one to talk to if you want it to be completely action-packed and clutch maneuvering. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, I kind of like this game. It's very simple and straightforward. And all you gotta do is you gotta take these little critters, like this is a snail. It's a very cute little snail. And you just fit them inside of this little puzzle grid. And I feel like this could definitely be paired with a lot of information as an educational type game. You put in some really fun insect sounds, because there's no sound to this right now. It's just your friend Larry with his lovely voice moving around gristly little bugs and making them touch stuff. But you added that with like some fun science facts that like kids would find cool, or combine it, I should say, with some mini games, like you're playing that bizarre magic school bus game where you could go inside of people. And I think you'd be pretty good to go on that mark. Let me see, where do I need to put everything? Dang it, once you place a bug, you can't place all their friends. Who even does that? I call shenanigans game. Alright, well, where can we put this ladybug, first off? Let's put this here. And then this guy goes here. Uh-oh, I think I might be out of spaces. Well, look at you, tricking me this early on. Let's try this here. And this here. Nope, still the same problem. Gotta find out where to put this bad boy. What if I put him here first? And then this here. Aha! But yeah, I feel like this has a lot of educational potential, because kids, especially young boys, really love to play with bugs. I know I did. I collected, like, caterpillars and turned them into butterflies. I caught dragonflies and tried to breed them. And for a little bit, I was even breeding praying mantises. So you have a lot of options here. And it just gives me a nostalgic kickback or throwback to back when you got like a classroom on a disc type of experience where you just put a CD into your computer and it played animations and stuff off of that CD that you could then experience and have fun with your friends. And these wiggle worms always give me trouble with where the flip to put them. You spicy devil, you. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Presto changeo, bingo bango. But I like this. It's very basic. I feel like you could expand this with a lot more insects, a lot more little environments besides just boots, because you could do a lot with like almost a Tetris-like experience like this. And maybe you could even do a bug Tetris as like a mini game where as you go through the different levels, sharing information with people and educating people, making parents happy at the same time, then you could have like just a fun Tetris thing with little weird creepy crawly worms and stuff. So nice job. I kind of like this. And I don't have much to add other than I like the education potential here. I like the simplicity of puzzles, and you could do a lot of different puzzle stuff with insects in a game that can be either educational or just goofy fun for young audiences or even older audiences. And then the other thing I meant to ask you Eddie Nardo 11. It says, I wrote down that you have 11 in your name on Twitter. Did you really have to put 11 on Twitter? I feel like with a name like Eddie Nardo, you probably didn't, but I could be wrong. So let me know about that one. But otherwise, nice job, all 3 entrants here. I rather enjoyed all of these. Even the glitchy one was fun on a certain level. And I like the potential here. So keep up the good work. See about expanding games like this, because even if you don't end up selling the game, building out and fleshing out games that you make, even for jams, into something that feels very feature-rich and feature-filled and fully fleshed out is always a nice portfolio piece, especially if you decide that you want to go in for a job interview later to become a programmer or a game designer with a smaller company or even a larger company. It's always good to show that you have a very robust portfolio of works. That's why I always encourage people to try to flesh things out, and who knows, you could make the next winning indie title from these games that you can sell on Steam, so why not give it a shot? And I'd also like to thank everybody for taking the time to submit games to my forum. A lot more people have submitted since the first video. I appreciate that. It's a little harder communicating this time around, as I'm sure folks know. The website is being rolled out live, so things are a little bit by the seat of your pants. So I can completely understand if you didn't think Larry was covering this bad mamma jamma. But otherwise, that'll be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. Thanks for joining me for another Larry Does Ludum. For Ludum Dare number 38, A Small World, I'll catch you next time. Links to these games are in the description of both the video and the post that will be up on the Ludum Dare website. And I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody, and have a good one.